Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Facebook Nation. This your girl, Jamaican Joan, with another exciting episode of Influential Thursday. But please don't go anywhere because we are going to be right back. Welcome back to Influential Thursday on the Joan Henry Show. Again, I'm your host, Jamaican Joan, and I'm here with you tonight with another exciting episode. And I have not one, but two guests tonight with me. And guess what? It's a power couple, y'all. Yay! team, team, Team Washington is here with me tonight. But before I get into that, let me first take this time to thank you, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay later on, just in case you missed it. Thank you always for supporting Influential Thursday on the Joan Henry Show week after week. So tonight's influential quote is from Henry Ford, and he said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping it together is a process. Working together is success." And you know, I had to do my, I'm so glad I'm a researcher. I had to do my research to make sure that I come up with a perfect influential quote for this amazing couple. And they're so amazing, I'm going to read it because you may have missed it. So listen to the quote. "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is a progress. And working together is a success." Mm-hmm. All right, now. So tonight we have the amazing power couple out of Philly, home of my husband, Philadelphia. So we have Mr. and Mrs. Lawrence Lorraine Washington, and they're not just husband and wife, they are also business partners. For Mr. Lawrence, he's a professional chef with over 30 years experience managing multi-unit services and supervising multiple staff. And for Miss Lorraine, she is a profit-driven professional with several years of experience of 5-star restaurants. So you all could see they married together, live together, cook together. I mean, this couple, they got it going on. I can't wait to hear all the juicy nuggets. So welcome the Washingtons to the Influential Thursday on the Joan Henry Show. How are you guys doing today?
We're wonderful, Dr. Henry.
Fine, and you?
Thank you for this opportunity before we get started.
Oh, absolutely. You guys call and I answer. That's what it's all about, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask the first question more so to Mr. Larry. I kind of, I kind of split up my questions a little bit. So please share your experience as a chef and why did you decide to become a chef?
Well, it's an interesting story. So can we go back a little bit? So I was going to school in college, needed more money for books, started washing dishes in a French restaurant. One day someone called out sick in Gare Manger. Gare Manger is where they make all of the salads and stuff. Someone called out sick in Gare Manger. They asked me to go over and just stand over there, help out with stuff and everything. And, so the day can go past smooth. So I went over there. I didn't need help. I worked the whole night. The chef pulled me in the office and was like, "Okay, what school do you go to for culinary?" I was like, I don't go to culinary school. I don't know what you're talking about." He was like, "Well, who taught you how to do all of this?" I was like, "Well, the guys over here, they showed me and everything. I didn't think it was that, special, so I did it." I thought he was going to fire me on the spot, but what he did, he hired me, fired the guy who called out, and that's when it all started.
But the chef is leaving out an important detail. Back in the 80s, everything in a French restaurant was done in French. So all the orders were called out in French. All the responses were done in French. Now, this is a man who grew up in a very poor section of Philadelphia.
We call it the hood. Don't do that. It's the hood.
So he grew up in the hood. So French wasn't his first language, but he was able to successfully maneuver his way through the kitchen without any mistakes.
So that was one step to our success. So we taking steps towards our success. That was one part of it. And that right there it transformed me into a different person. Obviously, I dropped out of school and I became a cook. My parents didn't like it. But as the years progressed, they understood it. When first time they see me on the news or in a newspaper article, they knew that I made the right choice.
Okay, awesome. That's an amazing story. Oh, wow.
It'll be in my book soon.
See, sometimes it's just about showing up and, showing up great. Because for you, you didn't just show up because somebody called out. You show up great. You showed up with intention. You was intentional about getting it done, whether or not you knew how to speak French or even respond to a French request. But you showed up with intentions, and that intention was to get the job done. So sometimes that's all we got to do is show up.
Yeah, and read French. Remember, I don't know how old the audience is, but in the early 80s, in the French restaurant, the menu was all in French with no prices on it. So I had to be able to read in French a little bit too.
So back in the 80s, we didn't have micro systems where tickets were nicely printed. We didn't have screens. Everything was handwritten. And you can just imagine how poorly written the French was.
Whew, Jesus, let's put it this way. You had a great start because I'm sure that prepared you for where you are now. It may look rough then or, some kind of way, but, you start off with the hardest part of your journey. So now I'm sure it just make it a lot easier as you go along.
Well,
getting past that.
It's kind of funny because it actually wasn't hard. It was fun. And that's why I think it was easier for me to go through it as long as I did. It was really fun. I was happy coming to work every day, learning something new. The food was unbelievable. Coming from the hood to a 3-star French restaurant, the food was unbelievable.
Okay, awesome. So, Miss Lorraine, in your bio, I read that you're a profit-driven success person, profit-driven professional. So, what are some of your profit-driven strategies?
So, in the hospitality field, it's very easy for us to give away our gifts. How many times do you cook for a family member who doesn't have money, or someone calls upon you to do a wedding that doesn't have a budget? But the reality is, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. So you have to figure out a way to separate yourself and say, what are my competitors doing? Okay. How can I price myself according to how my competitors are pricing? Mm-hmm. How can I price myself so I can drive the profits that I want to see? So we are constantly looking at pricing around us. We are constantly looking at new products to help drive our profits. We are constantly looking at ways to amenities to add to what we do.
Okay, awesome. So I still want to ask that question though. That what was that defining moment that made you guys decide to become business partners?
You want to start?
So we started as coworkers. I met the chef at a five-star hotel. Um, and we just started, doing events together.
Hold on, it was a 5-star hotel with a 5-star restaurant. Let's make that clear.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we did that. We worked together. We started catering together. We opened up a restaurant together. And then in 2008, if we be totally honest and totally transparent, when the economy went south, we found ourselves losing our restaurant. And
I like to call it homeless, but go ahead.
before you lose your restaurant, you lose your home. They turn off all your utilities, and we were homeless, and we had to make a decision at that point. Chef doesn't like if I tell this story, but I'm going to tell it. We had to decide if we were going to go to a lawyer and create a formal business arrangement, or if we were going to get married. And we decided for us, it made more sense to get married because we obviously cared about each other. So that's how we became formal business partners.
Or informal.
So, okay. So you have anything you want to add to that, Chef Larry?
I cannot come behind that with anything. No, but that was kind of the gist of it. Yeah, that was the gist of it.
Okay,
And
awesome.
we work well together. And the reason being is in our industry, you have two major parts of it. You have what we call the front of the house,
Mm-hmm.
which is the service part of it, and the back of the house. She's the food service professional in the front of the house. I'm the food service professional in the back of the house. It's a game that we play that goes hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
and one needs the other to succeed.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that it's not even on my paper here, but I believe it is important because you guys are very transparent already. I can see that. And your story is not really for you. Your story is to bless someone else. So,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
one of you guys really want to share after everything collapsed in that sense and the homelessness piece come into play? How did you guys move past that? Share some strategies that you guys have put in place to move past homelessness.
So faith is one of the strategies that we use. Always seeing the silver lining and believing that God has us on this path for a reason. We have a great support system. We call it our village, like many people do. So now that we are back on the right path, we make sure that we keep our village, that we're always encouraging our village, that we're always looking out for our village, and our village always supports us and always looks out for us. So right now, we're in the process of creating a new business. And the other day we thought about it. It's like we're creating a business for us, but within the business, we're creating other small businesses for other people. So our network is important. Our faith is important. And we're constantly, we're each other's biggest cheerleader, but we're also each other's biggest critic. So most people don't even technically realize that we're married.
That's because she used our maiden name Henry all the time.
I earned my maiden name. I'm going to keep my maiden name. Okay. It took me a long time for him to marry me, so I'm going to keep my maiden name. Thank you. But a lot of people don't realize that we're married. So when we communicate with each other, to the outside person, it looks confrontational. But we're food and beverage professionals. We just have a different language.
Right. And for me, it was belief. So I believe we had the experience. We got to come out of this. Mm-hmm. We have the experience. We have the know-how. We're fairly educated. Right. So you add belief with that. And I think that took us a long way. And we never stop. You have to really be insistent and you have to keep going no matter what, just keep going. So while we weren't doing anything, I still was reading all of the new things that had to do with food. I was going to the library reading cookbooks. I was looking at going to the book stand and looking at the magazines, everything new that was in wine, everything new, the new trends in food. So I knew I had the experience. That's all I needed was someone to just say, "Okay, we're ready to go," and I'm ready for it.
And I believe one of my favorite memories is one Thanksgiving, our house was in foreclosure, but we still had our restaurant. And I remember feeding 149 people Thanksgiving dinner out of our pocket. And those 149 people lived in a house on our block, in a halfway house. And it occurred to me that it was just three of us at the time. We lived in a house that was capable of housing 149 people. Okay. After we fed them, we went home to a house that didn't have lights, didn't have running water. And we sat there and we said, "Babe, it's Thanksgiving. What are we going to eat for Thanksgiving?" Even in the midst of us having nothing, we were still obedient to God and fed people. Um, so that's who we are. That's just who we are.
And I know that, definitely God is going to bless you guys because, it may sound strange, even the scripture that says, "To whom much is given, much is required." See, your definition of much is not going to be the same definition of somebody else's, but your much is your definition of your much. And you guys been given much. Your much could be, you found, friendship in your coworker that now become your business partner, your husband. I mean, and he tells us that we were blessed to be a blessing.
Amen.
And that's what you guys did, because in spite of it all, without, foreclosure, lights being turned off, everything, you guys were still being blessed because there was life.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
And because as long as there is life, there is a way. The way may not come at the time when you want it, but it's gonna come in God's time. And so here you guys are today, that you can look back over those years and say, now
Mm-hmm.
look at where I'm coming from,
Yeah, we do it
And
all. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and see, sometimes we go through things and we don't know why.
Yeah.
But again, the things we go through is not necessarily for us. God uses us sometimes so that we can speak about his goodness, because somebody may be listening and may be on the verge of a foreclosure and may start to lose hope. They may not have lights on as we speak and they start to lose hope. But your story, should give them hope, that with God all things are possible. So I love this transparency. I have no idea we were going to be going down this path, but to God be all the glory, because your story is God's glory, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Right. Especially right now, with so many people experience job loss due to COVID. Restaurants are grossly impacted on it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't know what they're going to do come January 1st. And we've been down that road. So some of the strategies we've done since then, we both went and got jobs for other people, but we still kept our catering business on the side as a side hustle. And as you know,
And created a lot of other stuff on the side
it
too.
created a lot of stuff
Yeah.
for us, but we always kept a full-time job so that we had that safety net. And we were both managers, so we were lucky enough that we were able to create our own schedule. So we were able to work our catering jobs around our schedules, which put us in a position to do great things.
A lot of different things. Yeah.
And because of our experiences, we learned that we had to have multiple streams of income. So in addition to our catering business and our full-time jobs, we wrote a book, a children's book.
We have a T-shirt line.
We have a T-shirt line.
Black chefs are dope because black chefs are dope.
We also have a spice and barbecue line, and we have a commercial cleaning business. So we've done a lot of things to make sure we never, ever, ever go down that path again.
Mhm.
Right, right. Awesome. So yes, and it's just good that you guys, have that mindset that, you could pick yourself up, dust yourself off and try again, because a lot of times people fall down and they just stay there.
You can't.
Mhm.
No, you
They
can't.
just stay there. But that is not your story, and that's amazing.
It was close though. It was really close. Yeah. I don't want to like think people. I don't want people to think that it was like, okay, I lose everything. It's okay because Chef Larry said it's okay. It'll be back. No, no. It was really, really close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mental health is
it's a real thing.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
You have to learn to be kind to yourself. You have to learn to forgive yourself. Um, yeah, it's a real thing.
Yes, awesome. But well, you know what? I'm just glad that you guys have this powerful, story. So, your cooking business is called Chef Larry's Creation. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that for a minute. Who
So
wants to go?
Chef Larry's Creation. We used to have
Oh, she's the mouthpiece. Like, I'm the one who makes the magic happen. I talk a lot when I get into my element, which is the kitchen. Once I put my uniform on, it's like I'm a superhero.
yes,
So
yes.
I it's this whole different thing that comes out of me when I put my uniform on. But when we're in this kind of setting, most of the stuff goes to her, so she's going to take over right now.
Because we understand each person's strength. We know what lane we stay in, and we stay in our lanes. Um, but we had a southern restaurant, so chef has a French background, but we are real black people, with
You
real,
black?
yeah, real
Okay.
black people with real southern roots, real West Indian roots. So
Mm.
we had a southern restaurant. So we cater southern food. We had a award-winning breakfast place in the city. So we do breakfast. We also do school lunches. We're a vendor for the state of Pennsylvania's school lunch program. We do uh, virtual cooking classes. Before COVID, we did in-person cooking classes. So we're Chef Larry's Creations is so many things, and because we have a French background, we can do private events. We do an event each year on Martha's Vineyard. We've teamed up with another chef from California, and we do a movable feast for some of the most influential Black people that I've ever met. We feature Black winemakers. The event is done at a Black winemaker's house on the vineyard, and it's amazing to think of. We were homeless, and now we're on Martha's Vineyard hosting this bougie behind.
Oh, bougie. Come
It's
on,
bougie.
stop. I'm bougie. I don't like when people throw this word out there like bougie is a bad thing. I think more black people should get into the bougie lane. Go,
Okay.
go ahead.
But it's very upper class, I'll say.
There you go.
Event. So that's what we do.
Oh, okay. So, in that regard, you guys are preparing food for all these different, the school and everyone else. So, tell us, what do you do to ensure the quality of the food that's going out to your customers?
Okay, so my background, the way I was taught, even at home, like, so my philosophy is if you cook something and your mother won't eat it, right,
Hmm.
your standards are low. Our standards are high. We both come from five-star restaurants. So we apply the standards from the five-star restaurants into our business because we know it works there. And it doesn't have to really be five-star in price, but you can give somebody five-star standards every time you do anything. And I don't let my standards drop for anything. Even if I'm down to a hot dog. If I'm grilling a hot dog on the grill,
Hmm.
I'm trying to make it the best hot dog that whoever's going to eat it is eating the best hot dog that they ever had in their life. And
So
that's what we apply to all of our business models.
so many of our restaurants have been in the neighborhood, and we found that our our guests didn't go downtown to eat, but we wanted them to still have that downtown experience, but we wanted it to be in their neighborhood, and we wanted it to be so nice that, and so they became so used to it that if they wanted to go downtown they could, but they didn't have to because they had that opportunity in their neighborhood. um, and we made sure that we showed our team, our employees, what a five-star experience was, and what and how to deliver it to the people that came into our establishments. So our servers, for example, it was we trained them to make sure that, hey, this is how you treat a guest. You remember their names, you ask them about their children, you know what they order. A cook, if you see Mr. John coming in and you know Mr. John gets his eggs done a certain way, as soon as he walks in the door you start his order because you know that's what he's going to get. um, and chefs are not easy people. um,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What,
Chefs are
what,
not easy people.
what,
So
what's going on here?
if chef is not going to eat it, you can't serve it to someone. I'm not a cook, for example, but I know what a good cook looks like, and
And it looks like me, right?
I
Go
often
ahead.
tell my staff, I know what a good cook looks like. I know what a clean cook looks like, and right now you're not that person, or right now you're doing a great job.
Okay. So speaking of which, so what is the area? Which area is your establishment located?
Right now we don't have an establishment because we do mobile catering,
Oh, you did say that. Yes.
so
Okay.
we go anywhere.
Okay. So it's a mobile. Okay. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I know that you guys are well established as far as the knowledge, with managing the staff, the five-star restaurants, knowledge and all that. But tell us something that you think that you could improve on. What's one area of business that you could, and that's a question for both of you, one area of life that you think you could improve on?
I say business, right? So when you're getting into the restaurant business, you're going to find yourself having two different people, right? You're going to have a person that know how to cook well but doesn't know anything about business, but a business person that don't know how to cook well. And that's where we come into play. We add both of these things together. She's like the administrator, and I'm the one who makes the magic happen.
So, for example, right now we're launching a new business called Plates EDU. What we're finding is a lot of chefs are doing virtual cooking classes, and they're doing it on Zoom or whatever network. We currently have a platform, our own platform, separate from Zoom, that doesn't have the limitations that Zoom has, like time restrictions, how many people you can have on it. And we're doing we give our chefs orientation so they know how to position their camera, how to make sure that their class is done properly. We're assisting them with the marketing, and
What to say,
what to
which is
say.
really important.
We're also doing a background check on all of our chefs to make sure that they don't have any criminal things, so we can present them to schools. So right now, what we wish we knew more of was we're doing all of the financial assumptions. We're doing the market analysis, the competitive analysis, and I wish I was better at that. That stuff is not easy for regular folks.
I mean, we did it before, like did it before, but this is on a larger scope,
Mhm.
right? And
It's not easy.
it's not easy.
It's a different language than we normally speak. Like when we plan menus, we cost things out. So like for a dish, we know how much salt cost for a
Right.
dish, but to figure out how much one of these virtual classes is going to cost, it's just a different language for us.
Okay. But You guys are very determined people, so I'm sure you guys will not rest until you find the answer, right?
Chipping away at it. Yeah,
Yes, we are.
we on we we have to, because whenever we set something up, we we are very, like, we don't stop until it's done. Plus, we give ourselves a timeline. We're on a real strict timeline, so it has to get done.
It's going to get done.
Yeah, it has to get done.
Determination.
Yep.
So, as a seasoned chef, you know, what's
Oh,
the best cooking tip would you give to a novice, somebody just getting into the business?
so as a seasoned chef, what would, so, like, I come into the kitchen with rules, right? So we have a certain amount of rules, but we'll stick to the first two rules. A good cook is a clean cook. That's the number one rule
Mhm.
in any kitchen I ever went in and managed. The second is the most important part of all of this. And this is I like how I became better and better and better at what I was doing. You have to listen and pay attention. I used to watch the chef down to the point of how many cuts he made in something. That's how diligent I was with listening and paying attention. Without those two things to start, uh, I wouldn't suggest you getting into the hospitality industry.
I also think that the chef, he likes to say that he understands how food works, not necessarily how to cook, but understanding how food works. So
And
what? Go
that's
ahead,
what
chef.
that's what the French taught me. So the French taught me how food works opposed to how to cook something,
Mhm.
right? And that kind of changed my whole thought process on food. Once you learn how it works, it will change your whole thought process on food.
And then I think the other tip would be, chef is constantly watching cook shows. He's constantly reading cookbooks. He's constantly educating himself about the process. Like if you ask him about tomatoes, you will have him talking to you for 2 hours. So he's the resident expert on food.
Oh, thank you. How about on that note?
Okay, awesome. So with all this, it begs the question: how do you guys prepare yourself to deal with the different personalities? Because with this, you have staff, you have customers, and everyone come with their own personality. How do you motivate yourself each day, and how do you make that work to deal with all these different personalities? Because I know that folks are hard to please, and sometimes you just do your best, and before you know it, they're just not happy with your service or whatever. So, how do you deal with those personalities? What are
well,
some of your strategies?
well, we see it two different ways. You have two different people. I'm looking at ching ching, and everybody knows what that means, right? So I'm looking at, from this, we have to get this, right? Lorraine looks at it as in a different sense, I guess, because of her background. Uh,
We both look at it the same way. Uh,
well, our approach is different,
as
right?
as caterers, we're constantly, the first question at the end of each meal period is, he asked me, is did they give us a tip? So it is about the coins, but it's also about the experience. We really believe what we do is share our gifts with people, and we want to make sure that when we wake up, we leave everything on the table. We give you the best experience. So um,
Plus, with our five-star backgrounds, it's like it's easy for me. Like I don't care if it's 1,000 people. We know how to manage it. Like I don't know, I can't explain it, but I even 1,000 different personalities, I know how to manage it.
we
I,
we it's a show. So even if that person is the hardest customer in front of them, you're still the happiest person. I've been known to go into the walk-in and cry and scream and holler and curse.
I don't do that. But go ahead.
And then go back on the floor and make sure that that person, the hardest person, gets everything that they want.
And that's why you have two different parts. Remember, we started off with is the front of the house and it's the back of the house. That's why we have two different parts of it, right? We have to keep that in mind.
So what?
Because it's a constant struggle all the time. Which experience is the customer coming there for? Is the customer coming there for your smile, or is the customer coming there for my lovely dish? It's an argument we have all the time. But that's what raised what we're doing from this to this. Our standards are high.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so as chefs, so let me throw this little fun question in there. So
hold on. She's not a chef. She married the chef. I'm the chef.
Okay, duly noted. Duly noted.
Which that's her hashtag is at marry a chef.
Oh, that's the hashtag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So the question that I don't know who to ask. I guess this question is for you, Mr. Larry. Let me see. What is your favorite kitchen equipment or kitchen gadget and why?
So the favorite kitchen gadget, and it's not like the equipment.
It could be the equipment. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, it's the most important thing is your chef knife. Because you are going to have your chef knife in your hand. A chef knife is what we call, it's an extension of your hand, right? So you're going to have that chef knife in your hand probably about 75 to 80% of the day, right? So that's where your knife skills and everything has to be really up to par. But the most important part of, and the most important gadget, if you will, in the kitchen is the chef knife.
Okay.
And I prefer a 10-inch chef knife.
Okay. Oh wow, I wasn't expecting that answer, but I was just asking stuff. But yeah, but that I'm glad I asked. It's the chef's knife. Okay.
Yeah, because if you don't know how to cut the food up, where does that leave you?
Right.
True that. So explain the administrative versus the creative aspect of a chef's work.
Also, the administrative is, and this is being an executive chef. So administrative is understanding the plate costs of something, controlling the food costs of something. Now, this really getting into the administrative part. People think that like most chefs, and most chefs are just cooks. Most chefs are just cooks. They'll have an administrative part of the restaurant or kitchen that someone else is doing.
Mm-hmm.
In our business, how we handle things is Lorraine is the front. She's the front person. She talked to all the customers and everything because I can get kind of out of control sometimes, right? But Lorraine handles all of that part of it, the menu writing, the menu creations and stuff. Because working in a French restaurant, the menu has to look a certain kind of way. It has to flow a certain kind of way. It has to have a certain kind of look. Mm-hmm. She did that in a couple of 5-star restaurants. That's why it's easier for us to do this kind of thing. And my thing is to go back in the kitchen and make all of the magic happen.
So when we try to back to staying in each other's lane, if I can handle the business aspect, then I can allow him to be creative. One time we had a spontaneous menu every night. You never knew what was on the menu because I just allowed the chef to go out every day, go whatever you find in the market, whatever you feel like cooking, that's what we're going to have tonight. And people loved it. Like they would come in, what's for dinner? I don't know. Whatever he comes back with, that's what's for dinner. and it works. So sometimes you have to let creative people
Create,
create and let administrative people
administrate.
administrate.
And then what happens after this point? The check's cleared and everybody's happy.
I hear you. So what kind of cuisine do you guys accept? Do you, Mr. Larry? Look, let me stand corrected. Mr. Chef Larry,
No,
what kind of cuisine do you excel at?
yeah. French cuisine. Even
Oh,
though I was brought up in like in the southern household, and you would think, oh, well, his southern style. I think southern style cooking, like to me, is regular. You saying excel, right? How can you really excel on cornbread? Like it's cornbread.
We can have
Relax.
sweet potato cornbread.
Well, yeah, but that's not really excelling on,
Okay, gotcha.
right? So my background is in real high end French cuisine. That's what I've been taught over the years, and that's what I kind of when I'm in that. Even when I go to the last time we just went to the Four Seasons, uh, and I just couldn't stop smiling, and she was like, You're happy, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah," because it felt like I'm at home. Like, and that's what I excel at.
okay,
But
awesome.
I mean, we can eat foie gras one night and have shrimp and grits the next night. So it doesn't matter. And we're known to take guests on experiences. For example, um, for my birthday, I wanted to have a party for someone else. I wanted to get paid to do this party.
Oh,
Um,
they paid us.
so we found a couple who wanted to. I wanted to take their food experience from to mimic the transatlantic trade route. So we started in Africa, we went to Spain, we went to England, we went to the Caribbean, and we landed in the Americas. And each dish represented a different stop on the trans-American trade route. And we were able to take wines that matched each course. So a lot of times with us, because his background is so vast, we can do French food, we can do Italian food, we can do,
Indian food,
you know,
Greek food.
it's anything.
Yeah,
It's anything. We have fun with it.
yeah.
Sound like some very creative cooking.
Yeah.
Have fun having fun while you cook.
Mhm.
So earlier you referenced a your cooking class, right?
Mhm.
So if someone is looking to join your cooking class, do you have information now that you can share, or do you want to drop it in the feed once we're done on how, if they're in the area, how they could become a part of the cooking class?
They can follow us on Instagram at Chef Larry's Creations. Um, they can also follow Lawrence Washington. Our platform. We're right now we're looking to have launching in April 1st over 500 chefs from around the world who will be doing daily, daily, daily
Yeah.
virtual cooking classes from tier one.
Well, we're gonna start with the 10 most used cuisines in the world.
Yes.
We're going to start with that and then back our way out of it into different kinds of other cuisines around the world. Well, we're going to start with the 10 most used cuisines in the world.
Okay, awesome. And viewers, that's the information the where you could follow them on Instagram. That is at Chef Larry's Creation.
Yeah.
So this question is definitely for both of you, Mr. Larry. She gets to answer this question too, okay?
Okay.
I don't know who's gonna go first, but it's for both of you.
I want to go first because she
Okay.
first.
All right. So Miss Lorraine, how do you personally define success?
Mm, That's an excellent question. Um, I'm a very type A personality. Chef doesn't think I'm type A. I think he thinks I'm type B.
Or C and D. But go ahead.
So I don't know if success is ever something that I can achieve. I'm always chasing it. Um, in the restaurant business, you're only as successful as your last meal period. So yesterday's success doesn't matter. I still got to figure out how to be successful tomorrow. So I don't know if I can ever truly be considered myself successful.
Well, I'm with the wrong person then.
All right. Go ahead, Chef.
No,
how do you
how do I define success? How about, all right, we're going to do this. How about legacy? Right? How about us not living for just us?
Mm-hmm.
How about us being successful for our great grandkids?
Mm.
That's what my success looks like.
That's a good answer, sir.
Oh, thank you. I get one every now and then. I'm not just, I'm just not a pretty face. I get one every now and then.
Okay, so we're nearing the end of our show tonight, but let me close out with asking you guys this. And now, again, this is a question for both of you, Mr. Larry. She gets to answer too. We all are in this pandemic, and it's hard for a lot of folks.
Yep.
Harder for some than most.
Yep.
And there may be that person, whether watching live or listening to the replay, and maybe it's for them or maybe it's for a family member. Please provide some inspirational quote to this person. That's something that they can go back to and revisit, something to comfort and just give someone hope. Because especially at this time, we're in the holiday season. Mm-hmm. And that mixed in with a pandemic and everything that's going on, it's just not going well for some folks. Mm-hmm. I already know that. I have a nonprofit organization and I know that because I know the requirements of, trying to feed people, reach people, doing all that. I know that the struggle is real. So in your own words, what words of inspiration and motivation would you give to that person?
Chef has decided that I should start this off.
No, you started all the other ones. I said ladies first all the time.
So, first off, food insecurities is a real thing. There's a lot of people in our communities, our neighbors, who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Mental health is a real issue in our communities. More and more families don't know, how they're going to pay for their insurance, their rent, whatever. My father is a minister, and I grew up in a family who believed that you had to find ways to be happy despite your circumstances. So no matter what your circumstances, I encourage you just to be encouraged. But if your circumstances are such that you can help your neighbor, help your neighbor. And it could be something as simple as today, the lady behind me in the grocery store, I put her groceries on the belt. I don't know what kind of day she was having before she encountered me, or how she's perceived Black women before, but I know today she thought differently about a Black woman. So I encourage you, no matter what it is, it could be something as simple as if you see an older person getting into a car, close the door. I do stuff like that all the time, and Chef looks at me like I'm crazy, but people smile and they appreciate it. So it can be a little thing. It can be offering to buy groceries for someone. It can be when you go through the drive-through, pay for the car behind you. It can be anything. Chef?
How do I follow that? So my thing is what we talked about a while ago, is a village, right? And we got away with that. Most people, they live next door to people and haven't talked to their neighbors ever. This is not the time for that. This is the time to see how your neighbors are, right? If you can help them, if they can help you, that's where it's at today, right? Prayer worked for me, right? it just worked for me. I can't, I can't say that it's going to work for everybody else, but me praying, I really believe that it did something to me and for me.
Mhm.
Having hope, right? Hope is not dead,
Mhm.
right? You got to have hope, right? It's there. I know it doesn't seem like it, but when we were homeless, like it was like every day I was like, it doesn't seem like this is going to ever stop. But then we started getting praying and being hopeful,
Mhm.
right? And being grateful for what you do have,
Mhm.
right? Gratefulness take you a long way also. It was like, dang, we only have like $20 a day to spend on food. And then I was saying to myself, but dang, we have $20 today to spend on food. So be grateful for that $20, right? Share, and we always shared. Even when we didn't have anything, we shared, right? Because that's just the way I grew up. I know it's the way she grew up. It's the way I grew up. I grew up with 11 other brothers and sisters. That's all I knew was sharing. So it came easy. It's easy for me to share. And those just a few things. I know.
And that's very good. And viewers, you don't have to give back to the homeless shelter because you were homeless. It's not, this is not a swapping out thing. If you were blessed enough to be able to keep your roof over your head, that
Mhm.
is the more reason why you should be giving back.
Yep.
Since this year, even during the pandemic, I have formed a nonprofit organization about 6 years ago, and we've been conducting several drives, toiletry drives, clothing drives, and some of the things that we don't think that might be important to people. It really is because, for example, toilet paper,
Mhm.
Mhm.
um, soap, because not every homeless shelter get that good old government funding. Some of them is just grace and mercy and a roof, a building for them to stay in. It's not anything fancy where they have all these things you could just go to somewhere and pick up a soap. No, if you don't have your own, you are short. And we found that out by going down there that even they are on their own for their laundry. So we did a laundry detergent drive.
Mhm.
During since this year we did about 6 drives already, and this coming Saturday we're going to 2 homeless shelters in the Maryland area to give out blankets. We were able to raise 200 blankets,
Mhm.
and then on Sunday we had this adopt the family, and the family we adopted this year, they have 3 children, and they send us their wish list, and we are granting everything on that wish list. So you see, this is for everybody because you just never know when it might be your turn. It doesn't take much. All
Yep.
it takes is one tragedy to happen in your life, and then before you know it, you may be one of those person on the food line,
Mhm.
at the shelter. You just never know. So my thing is that don't be so blessed that you forget to bless somebody else, because that's not what it's about. You
Absolutely.
were blessed to be a blessing. And I said that on every show. You were blessed to be a blessing. To whom much is given, much is required. Bless someone else.
Mhm.
Because you do have some very selfish person. They would sit there and just sit there and collect all their blessings, and they have both hands filled with blessing. But see, they're not doing themselves any favor, because that means they're holding on to old blessings.
Yes.
And if you continue to hold on to old blessings, that means you're not making room for new blessings. So you
Absolutely.
continue to have those same old blessings day after day. I love new blessings. So I stop at nothing to always make sure that I give, and I give. And, I thank you guys for your transparency, because I came on here just with like chef questions, but, you guys really show others through your testimony that there is hope. And I see my friend Chef Champion out of Kingston, Jamaica, just chime in there. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, I have all the chefs with me tonight. Yes. so, so yes, thank you guys for your transparency, because it is through testimonies such as yours, a couple of things are going to happen. One, somebody listening is going to realize that they're not the only one in a situation. They can know that for themselves, or they may be able to share it with another person, a family member. Now, look, I know you're going through this. I know you're homeless right now. I know that, you don't have this, you don't have that. But guess what? I just watched a live stream, and this couple that are doing so great now, they've been down that road before. So see, when you have faith and when you put in the work, anything is possible, because one thing though, you cannot just sit and have faith, because the Bible tell you that faith without works is dead.
Gotta work for it. Mhm.
Yes, you got to have faith, and you got to put in the work. You got to put in the work to make anything that you want in life for it to be successful. And is it going to be easy? Maybe not. You may be that lucky person that it's easy for, but for majority of us, it's not going to be easy.
Mhm.
Because if it was easy, then everybody would have been successful. Yes. So, it's not going to be easy, but I always tell my viewers, and in every chance I get to look at life this way, that it takes both rain and sunshine to build a rainbow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Your rain might be that financial investment that you're going to have to come up with. You may have to get past homelessness. You may have to get over hurdles of naysayers. You may have to get over sleepless nights while you sit to build your business. That might be your rain. But here comes the sunshine when it's your reaping season. And when you're able to sit back and smile. And when you've gone through the homelessness and you're on the other side now, you can go back and bless someone else. You can purchase the stuff that you want without robbing Peter to pay Paul, because you've put in the work. When you put those two things together, that's an amazing life. That is purpose. So it takes both rain and sunshine to build a rainbow. And we just cannot afford to not continue to do good. I know sometimes we get weary along the way. Sometimes people are ungrateful,
Mhm.
and it just makes you just want to stop doing the things that you're doing. But at the end of the day, you cannot put everybody all in the same mix,
Mhm.
because somebody was ungrateful to you. You cannot just, cut off your nose to spite your face. You just can't do that. So you just got to keep pushing, because one thing that I would tell anyone who's pushing, do not expect, well, first of all, you shouldn't be doing it for praises or a recognition.
Absolutely.
But when you do things, do not expect the thank you, something as a simple thank you. I caution you not to expect thank you from the people that you're doing stuff for most of the time, because oftentimes they will not say thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
And you may be there for them, and let it be your turn to need them. You will see how fast they run. So oftentimes the people that you help, don't ever say, well, I helped this person, so I know they're gonna help me, because you may be, that's
Yeah.
a recipe for disappointment right there. But in everything we do, just continue to do good, because at the end of the day, he sees what we're doing. And he said that we should do good, do not become weary in doing good, because we're gonna reap, if we do not give up. We cannot just be too quick to give up because we're tired or because somebody is ungrateful. We gotta continue running the race, because that's what it's all about. He's blessing us so that we can bless others, and so that we can continue to run the race. It's a mindset thing,
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
my book, it said your mindset can either make you or break you, period. You got to have that positive mindset at all times, because otherwise people gonna run you raggedy, or you just gonna stop doing what is it that you're doing. But we just cannot stop. We just got to continue to push forward, just continue to push. So before I end, is there anything either one of you would like to say to the viewers before we go?
Dr. Joan, it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It can be something as simple as, hey, young boy, I seen an opportunity down there. Why don't you go speak to my friend and she'll give you a job? Or, sis, I notice you're doing your marketing this way. Why don't you try it this way? Sometimes it's just giving people advice. Our phones stay on 24 hours a day. People call us in the middle of the night, they brainstorm with us, and we're just always available. So it doesn't have to be money, it's just being available for your village.
Yeah. Simple.
Absolutely.
It's simple as saying, "How you doing today?"
Hmm.
It's really simple. How are you today? But really mean it.
Right.
Really mean, how are you doing today?
Absolutely.
It's real simple. It doesn't take a lot.
Yeah, right. And sometimes you may find yourself asking someone how they're doing today. Don't even you may not get the response that you think you would get, but even so,
Oh,
you did your part.
we know. Yeah,
We know.
we know. Because people know us when we say, "How are you doing?" We really mean, "How are you doing?" So people will tell us.
90% of our employees have been ex-offenders. And they came to us without hospitality skills. So coming to work on time wasn't something that they necessarily knew how to do, making sure they had a clean uniform. So a lot of what we did was teaching them. So I'm training you for your next job, or I'm training you to run your own business. That's our mindset every day.
Yeah, how about relationship? They don't understand the relationship between the boss and the employee,
Right.
staff to staff. They don't understand because they've never been in this situation before, right? You have to understand relationships with people. You can't come in here and talk to me like that. Like, I'm the boss, you're the employee. It has to be done like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we were always preparing people for the next level of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you guys for joining me here for Influential Thursday. You guys really close it out for me for this year as far as the influential. Well, it's still, I have two things coming up for the remainder, but it's still kind of influential, but it's a different kind of influential. You know, throughout the year, I interview business owners, motivational speakers, just somebody, you know, anyone such people such as yourself that can bring an encouraging word, a motivational word to the platform. That's what it is that I do. So to close out the year, the next two Thursdays, we're gonna have next week Thursday. I will have it is next week Thursday, right? Yeah, comedian out of Jamaica. Well,
Nice.
the next two Thursdays will be two separate weeks, two separate comedians out of Jamaica because you know I figure it's it's already damp for a lot of people with everything that's going on.
Gotta-
And I know I've
yeah.
been talking a lot of business. I just finished the expo. I don't want to talk business for the next two Saturdays. I don't want to do anything business. I just want to have fun and help to bring laughter to people's face. And I don't care if you're not from Jamaica. I need you to tune in. Just laugh. I don't care if you understand what they're saying. Just laugh. Don't tell me you couldn't understand the accent. Just laugh.
Yes.
Period. That's that's what it's about. So we have two of Jamaica's finest. One will be on Christmas Eve and one will be on New Year's Eve. So I'm just closing out the year on Influential Thursday with laughter and
Yeah.
hope that we can have a, better, 2021. So yes, so I won't have interviews and all that stuff for the next 2 weeks. So you guys really close it out for me for this year. So yay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. We appreciate
And
it.
Absolutely.
next time I might cook. Who knows?
Okay. All right. So thank you guys for joining me here today. Viewers, again, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, I thank you just the same. Please continue to do good and continue to stay safe. I have been your host, Jamaican Joan. And until next time, you take care and make this $1 million day. Jamaican Joan and Chef Washington and Miss Lorraine. See, I wanted to call her Chef, but see, you
Yeah.
messed it up for me.
Mary
But
and
anyway, Jamaican Joan and the Washingtons,
There you go.
we are out. Have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.